I believe that before we come into this lifetime, we like have soul contracts. We set up a plan. I chose the partners in life, the people that were going to be my partners, my villains, all the different things. I also brought in a spirit team that's going to be there to support me, to help keep me on track.
This is the Have You Met You podcast. I'm your host, Sasha Pearl, the energy architect, and we're going to be diving deep into soul remembrance, light language activations, our spirit guides, and how to really connect with our intuition to understand and access who we are in this world. Christy Jewett is the founder of Messenger Spirits, where she supports intuitive, spirit led women in deepening their connection to their gifts, their guidance, and their soul path. As a spiritual channel and light language messenger, her work centers on helping women clear energetic patterns, strengthen their intuitive trust, and embody their next level of leadership with clarity and presence. I am absolutely obsessed with Christy. She is one of my favorite human beings in the world and one of the most potent healers that I know. She has been on my journey of my own personal identity, from shifting from Lindsay Freeman to Sasha Pearl, and really honoring my highest self and highest version through the work that she does. She is the one who has gifted me with the insight and the intuitive knowing of some of the most important nuggets I needed to really shift into the identity that I hold now. So I'm so excited to hop into this conversation with Christy. She's literally so dear to my heart and I'm obsessed with her. So if you have not worked with Christy, if you do not know who she is, please, for the love of God, go follow her on Instagram. She's amazing. She does a bunch of light language activations on there. Let's get into it. Welcome, Christy. I'm so excited to have you on the Have You Met You podcast.
Thank you for having me, Sasha. I'm so honored to be here. And I am a spiritual channel, which means that I connect with spirit guides, passed over loved ones, energetic energy and frequency. I'm a light language messenger, so that means I use the modality of light language, which is a multidimensional form of communication or frequency that I bring through. And I'm a soul mentor, so I help people on their spiritual journey connect kind of with their intuition, their higher selves, their spirit guides, giving them tools and modalities in order to do that and just kind of support them on their journey.
So, Christy and I have worked together for what, 2 years now?
Yeah, it's
Almost?
gotta be at
Almost.
least. Yeah, I would
Our
say so.
sweet angel, Angelica Lee, introduced us. We both used to work out with her. We
That's
started
right.
her, and then she's like, "You guys need to connect." And I was like, "How have I not met you before?" And Christy's work has literally changed my life. If anyone knows what an aura photo is, you can literally see the before working with Christy and the after working with Christy, and just like all of the healing and insight that I've had the honor of being able to experience your work with. So I'm excited to have you on the podcast.
Thank
And
you.
I would love to just hear how I know your story is actually pretty nonlinear and you started in the church, and I would love to start there and where you're at now, and what were these like initiatory processes that you went through to get to where you're at right now?
I'll go way back to the beginning because it's important.
Yes.
So, when I was 6 years old, I was first introduced to Jesus at a spiritual camp, a church camp. And I remember this introduction to like who Jesus was. And I was like, oh, yeah, I know you. Like, it was this very 6 year old, like, and I was a little bit of a know it all, but I was very much like, oh, yeah, I know you. Like, I know this person. He was immediately familiar to me. It wasn't something like out there. It was just, yeah, okay, I accept this, right? Because this feels really familiar to me. Love Sunday school. Love Sunday school. Like begged to go to Sunday. I just loved all the stories, learning about Jesus. And then when I was 10 years old, I started to channel with Jesus. I now call him Yeshua, but he would speak to me. I would see him sitting on my bed, and I would like open up my Bible, and he would like it's something called bibliomancy, where it would like things would pop off the page that I would read, and then I would like understand at the age of 10. I just understand what the messages were. It was very yeah, it's very unique. Yeah, and so obviously because of my deep connection to Yeshua, I was really, really drawn to the church. Moving into the teens, I would do I started at probably the age of 12, and I would journal in the morning, and I would just sit with what in this term, like the religious terms. I would sit with the Holy Spirit and I would just listen and I would journal anything that came through. So that was basically channeling, which I didn't understand, but I would just write down anything that would come through. And then high school, I started to kind of lead home groups with other teens. And I was obviously guided by, people older than myself how to do this, but I would just kind of support them, like basically spiritual mentoring at that age. But I would just kind of hold this collective group. And I always kind of knew just what to bring through, things to say, how to pray over people. It was very natural to me. Um, I got pregnant very young, so got married very, very young, and married in this marriage that's where things started to like contract. There was a lot of like people pleasing going on. A lot of the judgment of the church came in, especially having had children so young, like out of wedlock, right? And
Dicey.
I'll never forget that was the beginning of the shift of my journey. The very first time I ever felt really judged by the church, and that's when things kind of went off the rail. That my spirituality came about like my way is right, your way is wrong. A lot of trying to like form my former partner to being more spiritual, more like me, and that's when things got a little bit wonky, and it was probably about 10 years of that kind of journey. And then I got divorced. And this was really pivotal because it made me look at all of my belief systems, all that I thought to be true. And it was very, very challenging. I chose to walk away from the church because I felt like it was no longer this accepting, loving place that I had experienced in the past. So that was pivotal. And then it was 10 years of finding my way back to spirituality. I had to begin to look at my spirituality outside of the box. I loved the black and white because I'm very sensitive and I got really, really overwhelmed. So a lot of the black and white of the church fit me well. But going into my 30s, it was time to expand. And I had really beautiful people come into my life that helped me to think bigger, and see spirituality outside of just the religious context. Yeah. And then I guess I married my soulmate. And during COVID, I had the opportunity to begin really developing my spiritual practice. I'd started with Reiki, and that was literally the gateway. My intuitive gifts dropped in, which I know I'd been using all along, but I didn't understand kind of what that was in this different context. And my mediumship abilities started to drop in, and my ability to connect with other people's spirit guides, not just my own spirit guides. And then just like a year ago, my light language activated. So it's just been this ongoing journey. And I just have a heart to serve people and support people in connecting with their spirituality. Um, and that's my journey. Some pivotal points along the way.
Yeah, so if you were to meet Christy in person, she's like a white light, like an angel in human form in this living world. Like if she got an aura photo, I think it'd just be pure white. Such like the embodiment of like what you do is like so so real. And it's love that you're living and breathing everything that you're teaching. So as far as your journey into the spiritual realm, you said Reiki was your access point. So Christy also used to be a esthetician, and that's where you were saying you had a lot of intuitive gifting in the Reiki there from the conversations we've
Yeah.
had.
Yeah, so I've always been moving energy, I did not understand that. Like even as a child, my mom would lay on my lap and I would like stroke her hair or her face and she'd be like, "What are you doing?" She would just like melt and it's like, I don't know. Always said I had magic hands. And then as a facialist, when I was doing these skincare treatments, I would sense things in the body and I would just kind of think of them and flesh them out. And people would get off the table and they'd be like, "What did you do?" And I'm like, "I feel incredible." And I'm like, "I gave you a facial." Like to me, like this is what doing a facial was, right? And I remember the very first time I did a facial, it was from that moment on. Like there was something, I felt like my hands were dancing, is how I expressed it. I don't know if anybody else would understand that, but that's it, so I was so drawn to that. So now looking back, understanding what Reiki is, I recognize that I was moving energy all along. I just didn't have the wording or the understanding behind that. And I probably would have told you that was not the case because of my religious upbringing. Right? Like, I'm not that powerful. Only God can do those things, right? So,
Well, that's so wild. That's just so wild.
yeah.
So as far as spirit guides go,
Mhm.
this is like something you have been honoring and like working, like practicing essentially. I feel like some people don't believe in intuition. Like I feel like some people are like, I don't have that. I don't have access to that. And I would love to hear your philosophy on people on intuition itself and also practicing practicing intuition because it's actually something that we can develop.
Absolutely. And I will tell you, when I went through my divorce, I thought I had the worst intuition in the world. People would tell me, like, you could do what I do. And I'm like, are you crazy? I am not intuitive at all. I would have sworn that in my early 30s. And it just kind of, I started to have energy work done on me. And more, it was a real healing journey of recognizing that yeah, I'd made some bad decision, but but I wasn't listening to my intuition. That was the key, right? I just wasn't listening and really connecting and tapping into it. So for all of those that question, I'm not intuitive, that's not true. You truly are. You just may not realize it or like recognize how much you're accessing it. Like claircognizance is a really good one. That means clear knowing. And that's for those people where information will just like drop in. They don't know why, but they immediately know things. And they won't recognize this as intuition because it's so natural to them. So I see this happen a lot. Um, because it's just the way they've always moved through the world. So they don't see it as something separate. And that's how intuition kind of starts. You see it as something separate, like outside of yourself. And the more you begin to work with it, it's like s- um, clearing that separation so that you truly can just connect in with that intuitive, like the gut brain, I call it. Like our intuition doesn't come from here. It comes from our gut brain. So it's all about beginning to trust and listen to that gut brain. And that comes through multiple forms. So those are what you call the clairs. So claircognizance, that clear knowing, clairsentience would be feeling. You walk into your room, you're like, I feel something, like something's off. That's your intuition.
I feel like I have that too.
Yes, you absolutely do. Clairvoyance is seeing pictures. You'll see like something play out in your mind's eye, and it's very imaginative. So some people might say, "Oh, I imagine things all the time," and I'm like, "That's clairvoyance. You're incredibly clairvoyant, right?" Clairaudience, that's my strongest one, and that's where I will just hear things. So let's say a song pops into your head all of a sudden you've got this message from a song that you're hearing in your head. That's clairaudience. So these things drop in ways that are very, very common, but people just may not realize that that's happening for them. So you asked, how do we begin connecting with our intuition? Number one is paying attention. Just paying attention to those little subtle senses, I call them. Um, and there's different activations and things you can do to begin to wake up those subtle senses as well. So that would be kind of where you would begin.
Intuition can be there's 5 different like main clairs, correct?
Mhm.
And that's what
Yep.
we just went over. And
Yep.
so as far as intuition goes, you're able to practice in whatever your strongest one is, you have tools that you can practice in strengthening them, correct?
Absolutely.
But would you mind sharing with the people 1 or 2 ways for each clairs, a tool that they could use to, like, even start practicing and honing in on those, like, natural intuitive gifts that they may have?
I'll give you a really simple one that I use to wake up my clairs, and I use this with all my clients. You're familiar with it, but I call it the rainbow pathway. And so that is using the idea of like the stuff, multiple different colors. And one of the keys is you want to raise your vibration. So bringing something to mind, we're going to use, let's say we'll start with the color red. I know that's your favorite. So you say you're breathing in the color red, you're focusing on the color red, you're bringing something to mind that would represent red to you. So I'm going to give you my example: champagne and strawberries, right? So then I start to focus on the feeling. Like, what does champagne and strawberries feel? Celebratory. It feels exciting and passionate. Then I would focus on what does it look like? So then I would like see the champagne glass, see the strawberries, really this. So you're using kind of a visualization here. Then I'm going to, what does it sound like? So I'll hear the bubbles of the champagne, or like when you bite into the strawberry, what that would sound like. So see, hear, feel, know, like just know, what does that mean? What do you know about that? And so, and then all bringing it in around this color red. Um, and then just like, and just kind of being in the experience of it. And what you're doing is you're waking up all of those senses, right? What does it feel like when you're in that moment, right? And so it's raising your vibration and it's opening up all those subtle senses at the same time. And then move to the color orange. So orange for me is a sunset and a bonfire, right? Like, so you choose
Ooh, a
things.
bonfire, good one.
Yeah, right. That just the color. And this is a beautiful way to kind of open up those subtle senses. And then in time, as you work with it, it's a muscle. Working with your intuition, it's like working with a muscle. The more that you use it, the more you'll be able to access it more quickly. And so being gentle with yourself, just like you can't do one workout and be like, I got it. Right?
I wish.
So
Give me the six-pack of abs, please.
yeah, exactly. So, and then it's just a lot of like practice. And so I just spent a lot of time practicing and working. So I started even before Reiki, I think I started more with subconscious work, right? And that was like working in something called like my sacred landscape and developing different tools to work with my subconscious. So that's where you can start. Absolutely.
I love that. And you kept talking about raising your vibration. And
Mhm.
is it the fact of like being so present with all of the senses that raises your vibration? So is it like presence that is actually raising your vibration? So even if we're not going through the rainbow, for me, I always go through all the fruits. It's like Skittles. I don't
Yeah.
know. Like the easiest thing to access for me is the fruit, the smell of fruit. Um, but if we were to take it out of the rainbow metaphor and then move it into our daily life, like is presence the thing that's going to raise the vibration in our day to day that's also going to raise our intuitive senses and our sensitivity to our day or whatever is happening in the day?
Well, presence is amazing because it takes you out of your worries. It takes you into this very moment, what is happening in this very moment versus future thinking, past thinking, right? Like, so that, yes, that supports that. But the even bigger piece, it's the gratitude. So with each of these fruits or colors that you're going into, you're bringing something that brings this element of gratitude, right? So anytime I'm in these moments that I bring forward, I'm usually in a pretty high, elevated, grateful place. So
Hmm.
that is the key with raising your vibration is gratitude. And it doesn't have to be gratitude for like even the smallest things like, oh my God, I love that I'm holding this cup of hot tea and like savoring just the moments, which is presence, right?
Hmm.
Being in that moment. So I think those two do go hand in hand, but I would generally speak more to the gratitude piece.
Yeah, I love that. I think I do that with my breath a lot. I'm like, oh, I can breathe. This is great.
Beautiful. So you're present and you're grateful,
Yeah,
right?
exactly. I'm like, this
So
feels great. My body can breathe for me. Amazing.
my
So that.
funniest one I ever did was I'd be walking down my hallway and be like, I love my hallway. I have no idea why, but for some reason that would just be like, oh.
No, and those are the things. It's like honor the things that maybe someone else doesn't love your hallway, but you love your hallway. So like honoring that, 'cause that's your authentic expression. And I love that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we're starting off on like this is like truly basic stuff with the intuitiveness. This is the framework and the foundation though to then access your own spirit guides. Am I correct? Or is there another layer in between here?
No, I would say absolutely this is the layer. There are some of you, I wanted to bring this in before too. Like all of us will tend to have a clair that is more prominent than others. So like yours is like the feeling clairsentience, like that's your most prominent. Mine was clairaudience. So there will be, and so those specific clairs. So you may already be connecting with your spirit guides. I don't want to say that you have to open up your intuition. Some people are already naturally connecting with their guides. So I don't want to take that away from those you don't don't have to do it a certain way. We all are very unique in how we connect. But these are tools. Developing your intuition is going to help you to understand that when a spirit guide comes in, these clairs are opened up enough that you can begin to sense into your guide. These are the multisensory tools that you're using to communicate and connect with your guides. And so that's where I find the importance of working with the intuition, is kind of like the foundation. But there are some already that just immediately connect with their guides and are very tapped in. So there are other, I just want to put that out there that, yeah.
Yeah, 100%. So I think what's something that's been coming online for me, it's like uh nothing is a coincidence. Like when people are actually speaking their truth, so I do one-to-one sessions. So when people are actually speaking their truth, or even in friendships or relationships, or whatever, my body going into its clairsentience chills. And like chills, that's your truth. Chills, that's your truth. And I'm always like, let's follow the truth of like what you're saying because there's something to be uncovered there or something that needs to be like reflected back. And what's interesting is when I speak and I'm speaking for my truth, it also happens for me. And I'm like, oh, okay. So instead of just being like, "Oh, that's just weird. I don't know." Like honoring these like intuitive gifts and like really practicing, it's like literally the layer into such a higher knowing, a higher consciousness. So I would love for you to talk more about what are spirit guides? Do we
Okay.
all have them? Are they all different? And then I want to go into unity consciousness. Take us.
So big
Yeah.
topic.
Yeah.
Okay. First of all, yes, we all have spirit guides. You may not feel them or sense them, but yes, you have them. Just because you don't feel or sense them doesn't mean that they're not there. I believe that before we come into this lifetime, we have soul contracts, we set up a plan, we've decided, I believe in multiple incarnations, just to put that out there. So before this incarnation, before I came in, I chose the partners in life, the people that were going to be my partners, my villains, all the different things. I also brought in a spirit team that's going to be there to support me, to help keep me on track. They'll never interrupt our free will, but just kind of to be there to support us and guide us. So we all come in with this team. I have generally never seen anybody with less than 3 guides. I believe we all have many, 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 many guides. Some guides come and go, but there's 3 I always see that stick with you at all times. I call them the gatekeeper, your guardian angel, and then your personal guide, right? Is how I kind of reference them. Your
Wait,
gatekeeper.
one oh,
Oh,
you're gonna go into it. I was like,
mhm.
describe the
Yeah.
differences. Okay, great. You're already on it.
So your gatekeeper guide is the one that is kind of, I call him like your protector guide, your guard, that guard that mine is named Claudius. He looks very gladiator like. I've seen many of my clients have different types, but they're the one that hold the field for you, that kind of, clear out the negative energy. Or I'll give you an example, a silly example, but like I really don't like getting trolled on Instagram and stuff. So I'm like, Claudius, do your job. Thank you, please, and thank you. Like, let's keep this energy out. But yeah, they're just kind of like that protector, and they're super supportive. And I see that guide. Usually it's one of the first ones that I'll see for my clients. I think we all just need to feel safe, right? And it's nice to know that we've got someone that has our back. Our guardian angel is, and they don't have to be an angel. I'm just using, and I tend to see them kind of standing up behind people. They tend to be, mine looks more like a goddess. Her name's Layla. She really empowers me, right? She comes in with this really empowering energy. So that's, again, supportive and helping you on your path. The quintessential like guardian angel archetype is very similar to what I see that to be. And then your personal guide. So mine, um, just that Yeshua, I have felt has been like a personal guide for me. He's been with me all along. But I called him Benjamin for most of my life, right? So, because it was much more familiar, brother like, and this is the guy that I had the daily conversations with, right? Like needing the guidance and going through whatever I'm going through. Like, that's the type of information, like it's more of an information exchange. You have give it yeah, when people are looking for clarity, a lot of times it is this like personal guide that's coming forward. And they know you inside and out. They've been there from the beginning. Hmm.
So how do you call upon these guides? And like for like we have the protector, we have the empowerment for the angel, and then we have like your daily guide. So how would you summon? That's not the right word, but call in your guides if you're starting out with this and like starting to build a relationship with your guides.
Okay. Signs and synchronicities are a beautiful way to begin connecting. First of all, your guides are going to be thrilled that you're setting the intention that you want to connect with them. Being in the energy of play and curiosity. As soon as we get into our analytical brain, we're going to shut down that connection. So you have to be in this energy of play and curiosity, right? So when you're seeing 111 and 222 and 333, rather than being like, oh my
Favorite.
God, what does that mean? Being like, I see you, spirit guides. Thank you. Thank you for showing up for me. Right. And a lot of times they'll be like, what were you just thinking about? Or it's that message of like, you're on the right track. Like that's just their way of beginning to present themselves. Um, I find oracle cards is another wonderful way to work with your guides to get with like actual clear wisdom and guidance coming through. So that could be just pulling a daily card, like spirit guides, what do you want to say to me? You know, and then just shuffling that deck and pulling a card and seeing what they have to say to you through that card. Um, and then meditating, like going into a guided meditation, I wonder if we can link. I've got something called the intuition pathway, which would give people opportunity to walk through a guided meditation where you get to kind of create this sacred landscape where then you can invite them to come in.
Yes,
I
I'll
would
link it in the show
invite
notes.
Okay, wonderful. I would invite you to invite them through like an archway and see who shows up, who comes in. Um, yeah, there may be other meditations out there, but it's all about setting the intention of wanting to begin to connect with them.
And I know from our experience together, I have, I think, like 6 or 7 guides. My gatekeeper is like a gargoyle, like really big and dark, but apparently I'm not ready to see his the reveal of him yet. Um, but also to in my spirit world and in my soul, it actually doesn't matter. I just need to be guided. I don't actually know who is guiding me. Right? There's, like, something where it's, like, I don't need to know exactly who is who in my relationship to the spirit guides. I just know that they are there and I am, like, protected. So, for someone who is like, "I don't know who I'm talking to," like, what would you say to them in that sense?
What do you feel when you're in this guide's presence? What do you feel comforted? Do you feel clear? A lot of like, who am I connecting to? We all can get kind of caught up on that. And ultimately, we're wanting to get to the experience with them, the wisdom that they want to bring through. So there is a place for curiosity, and if you want to play, like I could go into lots of different ways that you could play to kind of figure out who's who. That's kind of what I do with more mentorship. Um, but allowing yourself again to get out of that analytical thinking of like, well, who's bringing me the information? Because then you can be blocking that information. So, really sensing into what do I feel? So, with your gargoyle, I imagine when you lean into that guide, you're like, wow, I feel supported. I feel protected. I feel like someone's got my back and I feel courage.
Mhm.
Right. So, that energy coming through. And so just noticing, I know there's one guide, I never did get her name, and I just always called her Comfort. She came in when I went through my divorce. And just anytime I was in her presence, it felt like a warm blanket and just like this loving hug. And that was all it was. There wasn't communication or she wasn't sharing deep wisdom. It was just this energy of sheer comfort. And so that's what I named her. Right. So sometimes getting, especially in the beginning, getting caught up on the who instead of the what are you experiencing in that
Mhm.
moment is more important.
I love
Yeah.
that. And
Hmm.
so when we're looking at, like, what is the importance of developing this relationship not only to your intuition, but to your spirit guides?
So intuition, I think that's like obviously you can move through life a lot more clear. You can say no to the things that aren't aligned. You talk all about alignment. Using our intuition
Sure
is
do.
the an incredible way to keep ourselves in alignment with how we're supposed to move through the world. So, and then as far as your spirit guides, for me, if I'm not connecting with my spirit guides, I feel like there's something missing. I feel like I've had a beautiful life and I have a beautiful husband. And when I started to do this, the reason I was drawn to it, I was like, there feels like there's just something missing. And so when I started to connect with my spirit team, it's like, that's the piece. Some star seeds will talk about like feeling like they don't feel at home on Earth, or they're missing that connection with their star families. Like that's kind of that feeling I had. And so that 10 years when I wasn't connecting with Yeshua and I was going through the journey, probably like that yeah, it was just like this peace within me. And I hope others out there can understand what I'm talking about. Like that, there's something more. You know that you have access to something more. And this is what my experience with spirit guides has done. It's allowed me to access just more of that divine wisdom, and recognizing your higher self also is a spirit guide. And connecting with your higher self, your higher consciousness brings in so much incredible wisdom and guidance. So, it just expands your world really when you begin to open up and connect with your guides. Clarity drops in a lot faster. And going into this whole connection to unity consciousness, you realize you are connected to something so much bigger than yourself. You're not separate. This 3D programming, our conditioning tells us that we're separate. And working with your spirit guides reminds you, I'm not separate. I'm connected to source. We're all connected to source. And I think that's really powerful.
Oh, yeah. And when you were talking about, at the beginning of the conversation, you were talking about how you believe our souls have come into this lifetime with a specific past, specific villain, specific love, specific whatever, right? And obviously, we have free will. So, let's talk about the remembrance of our souls in the 3D worlds.
Yes. So my light language activated simply through soul remembrance. So, um, if like past lives, there's experiences. A lot of people talk about past lives and they're like, I need to clear something from a past life. So let's talk about somebody who's got pain, and I was able to do a clearing for them because they were shot in the shoulder by an arrow. And when we brought that awareness through, we were able to clear it. All of a sudden, her shoulder pain goes away. There's an example of like a physical example of clearing something from a past life. Um, Ainsley MacLeod's The Old Soul Guidebook. Beautiful, beautiful, talks a lot about this if people want to have a really good reference to what I'm speaking about. So, what I began to access a year ago was the fact that not only can we clear things from past lives, but we can bring things forward from past lives, right? We can bring soul giftings, things that we've done and we've mastered in past lives, and we can bring that frequency and that energy through. I'll give you an example. Recently at a speaking engagement, prior to doing that, I was able to access a past life where I was an incredible speaker. I was just like really gifted and natural as a speaker, and so I was able to access. I was a gentleman in this lifetime, and I was kind of able to access that ability to be so clear and confident and bring that forward, into this lifetime so I could show up. I like used to really, really struggle with just doing something like this, right?
Mhm.
So there's an example of an access of a typical kind of past life that I would have had. But I've also had past lives that are like in star systems. And so I'm a Syrian star being. And so light language was something I started to access what was called the Sisterhood of the Rose through past lives, and in that, my light language was activated. So that is a soul remembrance of this frequency language that was able to come through from accessing something that was in another lifetime. I actually have kind of expanded and want to call them parallel lifetimes because they're not necessarily in the past, right? This is like we're moving forward. It's like all things happening all at once, right?
Mhm.
So from these parallel lifetimes. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, yes. And also, I want to talk about this. What, for people who don't know, what is the Sisterhood of the Rose?
Okay, so
And then I want to go into aliens, obviously. So, well, Sisterhood of the
okay,
Rose is what helped you activate your light language.
correct.
So,
So the
what is
sisterhood,
that? Yeah.
it's a lineage. It's a lineage, and it's So it's connected. There's many different lineages, first of all. You don't have to be part of the Sisterhood of the Roads to access the frequency of this lineage as well, just so people understand that. But it's a lineage that would go back, and most people would know it most familiarly sorry, with with like Mary Magdalene and Anna, grandmother of Jesus, Mother Mary. So of course Yeshua, working with him all along, that made sense. But then going further back with the lineage of like working with Isis, you know, the Isis priestesshood. There's also like in Anna is in that lineage as well. Going even further back would be connecting you to like the Sophia Christos consciousness, right? So it's this beautiful lineage. I apologize that I can't bring more depth to that. I am taught a lot through spirit, and so there's many that could give you a much better explanation of that. But I'm just working more with the frequencies of these beings, and they've all introduced themselves to me personally, and then I've begun to work with them. So it's all been this really unique unfolding of working with this lineage. Um, Yes. So if you're drawn to light language, if you're drawn to Mary Magdalene, if Isis is coming to you, this is all very connected to the Sisterhood of the Rose.
Okay, wonderful. And then for people who don't know what light language is, how would you describe that?
So it's a multi-dimensional frequency that comes through. So if everybody could just close their eyes for a moment, and I'll just bring a piece through so you kind of have to hear it. So Aya Shatoro Oya Naya Kokoro Oi Shanaya Satare ni Kiya Nai Shatoro Oya ni Nanakaya Koya Sataraya Nai Shatoro Oya ni Nanakaya Koya Satarani ni. So just feel, what did you feel in that? It's not like a language that you can kind of understand with the thinking brain, but it brings through a frequency. So hopefully just having your eyes closed, feeling that frequency, it's like uplifting and it's telling you you are loved, you are connected, you are whole, right? And so that was the particular frequency I was bringing through with that. So that is light language. And what it does is it really supports clearing limiting beliefs, accessing soul remembrance, and connecting you to that unity consciousness that you are part of like source. And it's quite a powerful frequency. I noticed it really shifted my work when I began to work with it.
And even when you just
Yeah.
said that, I like, without knowing what it meant yet, I was like, I could feel this like energy just like start aligning within my being, right? It's just like
Yeah.
pulling it back in, like you are the light. So
Yes.
yeah.
Yes. And that's what I say. So people, I'm like, what are you, again, just like with the spirit guides, what are you feeling when that comes in your body, like feeling your mind settle, what truths are coming through, right? Versus what is she saying? Translate that word for word. I get that a lot. Can you please translate that? I'm like, well, this is the overall. Yes.
Oh my gosh. Well,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, the things that you can access are so otherworldly. People are like, their brains break when they're like, "What?" And also the information that comes through Christy too is like so, so on point. Like there's stuff that comes through where you're like, "You wouldn't have known that. There's no way you've that ever." So it is a really, really powerful work, and it is like some a space that illuminates these shadows within you and brings them to the forefront so you then can create awareness and heal them. And that's like the power of the work that you do, which is so powerful. Um, I'm going to shift it to the star seeds. So
Okay.
my journey with this, I don't even know how I got onto aliens. Don't know. Was doing the research and I was like, I think I'm a Pleiadian. And I was like, I don't know. And then I took this quiz and I was like, a Syrian. I was like, am I Syrian? I'm a blue person. And it was like, one of the things it said, it was like, you'll have markings on your body. And I literally am researching Syrian aliens, star seeds. And I go to the bathroom and I have a broken blood vessel in my eye that's in a shape of a heart. And I've never had a broken blood vessel ever in my entire life in my eye. And I was like, confirmation. And then I take this to Christy and we're on the table and she's like, well, let me speak some dialects of light language to you. And you do like Pleiadian, something else, and then Syrian was the last one you did. And I was like, it's that one. And you're like, yep, confirmed you're Syrian. And then
Mhm.
simultaneously, a few sessions later, you were talking about how so she channels this, so I'm not sure if you even remembered this session specifically, but it was with my Syrian family, and you're like, "Oh, you're the only one from your family that, like, came to Earth to, like, fulfill your purpose," and so like, you're not gonna experience this, like, deep love that you have, in Syria or in the Syrian starseed constellation thing that you do here, and so you have this sense of loneliness, and I left that fucking session, and I was like, "I am so deeply sad." I
Oh,
feel
I'm sorry.
no, in a way of like, wow, I like A feel so seen and I feel like this longing to like meet the people that can see me as much as I can see other people was my point.
Yes.
So the
Yes.
journey of like figuring out that I'm a Syrian and I know that we have like one like main one and we're a lot of people are also part of different ones as well.
Mhm.
So that's my share. But I would love to hear from you your access to the star seeds and the constellations and your language around them.
Okay. So I am not an expert in this. I can direct you guys to experts, but so I will tell you from this is all from my lived experience. Before my light language activated, I would have swore upside down and backwards that I was not a starseed. I didn't feel like a starseed. Like I just didn't like I'm not wasn't didn't deny that there were starseeds. I just did not feel that I was one. And then my light language activated. And I'm on the acupuncture table when this happens. This is a whole another long story. But in that moment, the language that came through, I knew I was speaking Syrian. I was like, how do I even, what is Syrian, first of all? Like, this is how, like, I knew very, very little. So I'm like, I know I'm speaking Syrian. I know exactly what I'm saying. This was an example when I could interpret exactly what I was saying. I was able to ask questions in Syrian back to, it was almost like I was communicating with a guide. I didn't see them. It was just this dialect kind of, and I knew some of it was coming from me and some of it I was channeling. And I was able to ask, like, who are the other members on earth that like are Syrians with me here? And then they were able to give me their exact names. I wish I could remember them. I can. But like it was wild. So I got off the table and I was just like, oh my gosh, what was that? And so of course then I went down the rabbit hole. And what I noticed was with my light language, Sasha's been so amazing because a lot of it, this has happened as I grew with it and it would come out. So the very first time I spoke fairy was with you. I was like, oh my God, what is happening right now? This is so light. And I couldn't help but laugh. Like it was, and so what started happening was I would have these different dialects kind of dropping in, and you could tell because the tone shifts, the cadence shifts, the way my mouth moves shifts. So all of a sudden, I was just like, like I am experiencing this. This is coming from somewhere. And so I asked my guides to help me to understand. And I did this through the form of astral travel. And I do not astral
Oh,
travel.
you
I
didn't
do
tell me
not.
this. You get astral travel too?
I do no, this is like my one experience astral
Okay.
traveling, okay? So, I'm hoping to do more of it, but I set the intention before I went to bed that I would really like to understand why I know all of these different dialects. So in my astral traveling, they showed me going from all these different star systems, and they called me an emissary, and I was picking up all these different dialects from these different star systems so that I could be an emissary, kind of like a translator and support. And prior to this, I had had an experience with my Syrian. I had a past life. I was shown my role as a Syrian and my initiation as an oracle in that specific lifetime. Um, but yeah, so this is how it all started to come about. And then just like throughout the year, these different dialects have come in. And some of them I've had to go and kind of like, I know, there's a resource that I have and she has a light language library and I would go and listen, but it's very unique. All light language, it's your soul language, right? So like some of it can sound very similar, but it's going to be very unique to you because it's your soul soul language. So it was, but there's certain things that I could pick up and I'm like, oh, that was this. Because unfortunately, not always have they dropped it in that moment of being like, you're speaking this. So some of it I've had to figure out on my own. But yeah, I'm a very experiential being. So my guides teach me through experience. I didn't even know that there's this beautiful light language book out there that I could have read and probably learned so much. But instead, I just kind of moved through it, letting spirit teach me along the way.
And your human design is 3-5 manifesting generator?
No, I'm a 2/4.
2-4. Oh, yeah, it's a 2 line. Okay. 2-4 manifesting generator. Okay. Well, which makes sense because you're a manifesting generator. You need to have that, like, taste of all the different things and experience life that way, so that makes sense. Two
Yes.
4, right, okay. I was like, "I can't
Yeah.
even remember." And then emotional authority. Okay. Perfect.
Yes.
Got it. So as far as maybe we take one step back,
Mhm.
what is a starseed for people who may not know?
Okay. So this is in my bear with me, people. So star seeds, there's different star systems. So we have lived, let's imagine like Earth is a star, like a planet, obviously, but like imagine it is like part of one of the incarnations that you can be in. Star systems are like different constellations where like you can have incarnations in those forms as well. And some of them choose to come to Earth and have human incarnations. And I've seen many people come and like I do QHHT too. And so a lot of these sessions these beings have come from star systems and their star families come through and they're like, we told her not to go. We told her that it's challenging. Just like you, there's a lot that come that not everybody incarnates on Earth. Like this is a very dense planet. It's hard to be here. And it's interesting. So anyways, going back. So yes, there's all these different star systems out there that we can have incarnations with. So that is my limited understanding of
My
it.
god. Okay, so QHHT is also hypnotherapy. So that's she's accessing deep subconscious past life stuff in these sessions, correct?
Yes, yeah, quantum healing hypnosis technique is what it is, and so we're accessing past lives, and then we're moving into so clearing and bringing forward a past life that we can learn from, and then accessing your higher consciousness, and then in that session, you answer the questions versus me being the channel. Your higher consciousness is bringing through the information.
And yeah, and I
Yeah.
remember my higher self. I had a QHHT session with Christy as well. Everything with Christy. Uh, and I'm just
Love
obsessed.
it.
And my higher, I actually feel really connected to my higher self. The spirit guides aspect, I don't. I'm like, thank you for being there, and my higher self and I have been communicating for a longer time. But I remember her coming through and having so much wisdom. I was like, oh my god, I'm so wise. And also, why did I forget all this? I feel like we always have to forget to remember again, and it's like, I remembered that, like, 5 years ago. I had to forget it to then remember again. It's wild the process of being a human here in this world.
It is. It is. Oh my gosh. Just recently, I'm leading a program right now. And I went back a year ago. For some reason, I was told to go look at my journal from a year ago. And so I start reading my journal, and there's all these channeled wisdom coming through from like Mary Magdalene, Isis, that is meant for this program. I'm like, this was a year ago. Like, how did I not remember that I did this? Right. It was so, I'm like, how did I possibly forget this? It was
Uh,
really interesting. Yeah.
yeah, I'm like, "Oh, I've always we always have the answer." And that is, like, I think the biggest part for me in understanding my own intuition, my own remembrance of in being and doing the work and practicing it because in this world of the 3D, because we what we're talking about right now is the 5D. So in
Yeah.
the world of the 3D, it's so easy to be conditioned and forget and like be so stuck in the cog of like, oh, we got bills to pay and this to do and da la la la. And then you're completely disconnected from source, even though you're actually always connected to source. But it's like, are you willing to open up your perspective of what is to then actually allow you to come through? Because then it's like, if we're actually accessing ourselves, our unique soul, our why we're supposed to be here, imagine where the world would be. instead of coming from this greed, this ego, this whatever woundedness that we're all apparently interacting with all the time because the world is hard. The starseeds are also here to move the world forward, from what I
Yeah.
know. That's right.
Mhm.
So, well, two questions. One, have you worked with just a humanoid before?
I have not.
Oh,
You
I'm
when
so
you meaning do you
like,
mean like somebody who has not had a
yeah, who's like not a starseed, or do you think everyone's a starseed?
oh, that's a big question. I can't answer that one
Okay,
definitively. I've
that's
definitely worked with many people that have not accessed that part of themselves though.
okay.
So I to say that they are a humanoid only, that I couldn't answer that properly. I do want to go back just a moment here though, and I was thinking about what you're saying about you not necessarily connecting with your guides, simply more so your higher self. And that is really clear to me. It's because you are here to learn not to outsource your power, right? And
Always got
so
so chill.
and so it would make sense because if you had a lot of working with guides, that might be you outsourcing, and so working with your higher consciousness, that's bringing that embodiment of like I'm not outsourcing, I'm receiving this from myself, right? So it makes sense that for you they keep themselves a little bit more behind the veil for you because that's part of your mission here, right? Accessing. Yes.
Like, actually, yes, that is correct. I love
Yeah.
that. Yeah, she's a cutie. The higher self is so cute. Yeah, thank you for bringing that through. That feels very, I mean, I got so many chills. I'm like, "Yes, of course, of course that's true." It's even in my soul curriculum that I did a few years ago too. It's like this written document. I don't even know what is pulled through on that. There's like, you have to stop outsourcing your power."
Yes.
And I'm
Yeah.
like, "But I just wanna be guided, like, someone just tell me what to do here. I'm so done making these decisions."
And you just said, and we all have the answer ourselves,
Mhm.
right? So,
I'm also self-projected projector, so all of the wisdom I share with you is actually meant for me, so thank you for listening. Oh my gosh. So, do you have anything else that you want to add on starseeds, Syrians, aliens, reptilians, humanoids, guides?
you know what? I'm going to give a shout out to Twin Essence. I'm working with them to learn a lot more about the star seeds. And I love how they talk about duality because there's a lot of fear, like when you talk about different star seeds, like reptilians or different things. And there's still like a lot of 3D programming when you start to look into this information. Right? And I really love that, um, all these different star beings, everything that's coming through, it's meant for us to learn. It's supposed to be here to support us on our journey. So it's not a good versus bad, right? So those that really want to dive into what they are, the different lineages, things like that, that I would kind of direct them in to their podcast. I've had a session with them, and it was beautiful because they were able to confirm to me, that I was a Syrian, and I didn't tell them before, but that I also had like Lyran, a lifetime as a Lyran as well. And I do bring through a fair amount of Lyran. And prior to that, I had had a dream, and I guess maybe that was astral travel, but where I was in my Lyran form and I was able to see my Lyran lifetime. So right before, and then so it was beautiful to have a session with them and then to be able to have that confirmed. And then if you're working with me, what comes through is more so I will pick up on the guide coming through, and then they will share the information with me around the stars, the lineage with your star seeds. And that is more how I'm receiving my information around the different star systems. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's really interesting when you pull stuff through from the different guides, like, if you the reminder is to how does that make you feel when I speak, like, the guides are speaking through you, you're the channel, right?
Yes.
So
Yeah.
then it's like, then you can use that to then later on in your own meditation and journaling practice, like, you can then hone into your body, like, what is that feeling? Where is that? Is that feeling here or there, whatever? And it's like, oh, this guide, this guide, this guide. So it is like such transformative work that you do, obviously. Um,
Thank you, Sasha.
my final question is, if
Mhm.
someone were to really know you, what would they know about you? Or what would they need to know about you? If
Oh,
someone were to really know you,
if
what
they
would
were
they need
to
to know about you?
they would need to know that I work with the multisensory world. Like, for me, it's so part of who I am. it's hard for me to be fully myself. I'm just so deeply connected in this way, and it'd be like the way you just exude human design in
Mhm.
all you see it everywhere. It's the language of your soul. A lot of times you'll speak through that lens, and this is the lens that I speak through. Right? Is that we're connected to something bigger than ourselves, and I can't help but see that everywhere in everyone. I get to talk to people's souls every day. It's the most fascinating thing in the world. So, yeah, like I am now learning that you've actually helped me that with my human design to really begin to embody that part, because when I don't share that part of myself, you're missing out on a like 75% of who I am.
I would say 99%. No, so Christy has we didn't really talk a lot about her human design on the pod today, and we can do that later, whatever, but she has you have almost like every gate activated in your throat. Like she is the teacher. She is a teacher and you're like, I'm not a teacher. I'm like, you are a teacher. But I think that you really started to embody your voice and like that teacher mentality even in the last how long has it been since we had that last call? I don't even know. 6 months?
Yeah, 6 months, but it was like, definitely, you've really helped me to embody that part of myself, visibility, like bringing through this full, like access to the light language, this multi-dimensional side of myself. There's a lot of visibility blocks. And so working with human design really helped me to see, number one, as a manifesting generator, what things I needed to put down, because I love to do it all,
You do.
right?
Yeah.
I love to learn fast. I love to do it fast, right? Get halfway through a book, got it, put it down, and like the freedom to do that. But then also hearing that I have that much access within my throat chakra made me finally realize like I have to step into speaking. I have to step into
Mm.
sharing. This is my calling. This is what I'm meant to do. I am a light language messenger, right? Like, and working with my human design and with you helped me to fully embody that part and then move through those limiting beliefs that I'm not meant to be a teacher. I just understand now that my teaching is a lot through experience, right? Versus like book knowledge, as you guys will have heard today. But I'm still embodying that. But whenever I get wobbly about it, I remember that. I remember that about that the centers in my throat chakra, and that this is the way I'm meant to show up in the world. And so it gives me courage for sure.
Yeah, and as soul guides and souls are your language and like your dictionary of explaining, the unknown. Human design is that for me and explaining the
Yeah.
intangible, the energy that I feel, but because it's clear sentience. And that was the first, it was just like, it does exude for me because it's like, no, I cannot connect with you if I don't know what your human design is. I'm like, I need to know I can feel it. I probably know what you are, but I'm also like, what are you? What are you about? But how can people work with you? How can people connect with you?
So I go by Messenger Spirits. So on all the platforms, Messenger Spirits is my tag, and how they can work with me. I am doing one-on-one sessions. So if you're just kind of wanting to curious about the work I do, looking for like channeled guidance, want to connect with your guides, want to experience light language or energy clearings, you can book a one-on-one with me. I also do the Mystic Mentorship. This is where we're really going to dive into you beginning to access your intuition. If you're highly intuitive already, we're going to deepen that connection. We're going to work with limiting beliefs, clearing, beginning to access the Akashic records, really expanding and opening up that channel. And I also run programs. So right now you can do Living in the Light, which is a self-led 6-week program of light language healings and activations. So this is going to take you through like diving into soul remembrance, calling forward those soul gifts, accessing that soul remembrance. And right now I'm running the Living Temple, and that one's live. So I will run that again in the future. And that's waking up that soul DNA and beginning to work with the divine team that I work and the Lyra Sophia Council of Light. So those are a few of the different, as a Manny Jan, narrowing it down to 4 things is a big deal.
I love that the Living in the Light's now, a course though.
It is.
That's
It
amazing.
is.
I didn't know
Yes.
that.
So it just went live this week, actually. Listening to this and you're one of the first people that sign up, you also get a free one-on-one session with me. So,
Oh, definitely sign
little promo.
up. Yes, I've done everything with Christy because 'cause I'm obsessed with her. So, like 100 out of 10 recommend to at least get some sort of access with her, whether that's a self led course or through the one on one sessions, you will be deeply activated and you won't want to stop. So that's perfect. Thank you so much, Christy, for being on the podcast today. It was so lovely to chat with you.
Thank you for having me. I love every conversation we have with you, my dear. It's amazing.
I
Thank you
know.
so much.
I love you.
Love you too. Bye.